Hello and welcome to the show. Now, classic small sports cars have tended to do pretty well when it comes to autocross. So this Fiat 124 is definitely an interesting proposition. I am hoping that this will turn out to be a pretty damn good autocross car. I like the 124. I think it's a fantastic looking little sports car here. And yeah, we're going to see how it does. It probably won't be keeping the standard engine. Getting up into A-Class, we will have to wait and see. I mean, it starts off with a whopping 102 horsepower, 110 torque, mind. So yeah, plenty of room for upgrades in this car, being a low E-Class. We're going to get tyre widths, 245s on the back. Yes, it is going to be quite nice and light when we are finished with it, so that does kind of make up a little bit. It could be lively, could be quite lively. We will, yeah, that'll have to be a wait and see moment. I think it actually looks really good without that front bumper. I would like to take off the big sticky outy front bumper, however I want the aero. I need all of the handling bits that I can get. I actually really like that without the front bumper, but I can't. If we're going to be competitive with the autocross, we need all of this on the car. So yeah, there we go. We will take off the back one, saving us a bit of weight. I wonder if we can get this under 2,000. That would be not too bad. Well, the brakes have added weight. That's one of the few vehicles where the brakes add weight. Often it is some of them even fairly sizable weight reduction to them. We are going to get all of these bits and pieces. Now the roll cage is going to add some weight. I'm hoping because this is a small car, it won't be adding too much if we can install the roll bars. There we go. Thank you, game. We are going to have a visible roll cage. Fantastic. I do like that they put in these roll cages for the convertibles and so on. Yeah, okay, we will go for that. That's £100 of weight added, but weight reduction, come on now, gets under 2,000. 2,098. We might still, it's still in E-Class at the moment. All of this work, and it is still, I'm actually very surprised that is still in E-Class. I think we are going to be able to get it under 2,000. We'll probably come back to this after we've decided what we're doing with the engine, because the standard one I don't think is going to be good enough. Yes, we can aspiration swap it. We can put a turbo on or a supercharger and so on. That doesn't add the power up by very much, and I'm suspecting that this will be the biggest power gain we can do. It's only 37 horsepower from the standard engine. Now, we're not going to be getting 600 out of this and keeping it in A-Class, no. However, we're not going to top A-Class, I don't think, with that standard engine. So we are going to have to change it. And that will mean we have a choice of the 2-litre i4, the 3.7-litre V6, or the, well, the V8 racing engine does go in the car. We can't have it, though, because that jumps us up into S-Class, so we're not going to be going for that. So it's basically a choice of a 3.7-litre V6 or the 2-litre i4. Considering the fact the i4 is lighter than the standard engine, gets us closer to our under £2,000 goal, I think that's probably what I'm going to be going for with this car. There we go. Now we can still we do still have the option for a turbo or supercharger if we want. I'm probably going to keep it naturally aspirated as long as we don't need this engine is actually a pretty powerful one. As long as we don't need to go for aspiration conversions, aspiration swaps, etc., we will keep it like so. This should put us, hey, we're under £2,000 with the little Fiat. It is actually up to 300 horsepower, not quite an A-Class, so power to weight ratio is going to be pretty impressive on this vehicle. It's, yeah, not going to be doing too badly whatsoever. It's all going to be about, you know, do we have the control to go with the, what I'm expecting to be pretty impressive acceleration? Are we going to have good enough brakes to slow us down? That could be another thing. You know, we have got, you know, race brakes on here, and we have got the car pretty damn light. It's going to be topping 400 horsepower. In a car this light, that's a lot of power going on in all of this. Oh, bugger me. What did we put in that we shouldn't have done, perhaps? Why does that... Okay. I don't know if this is a normal. I say a normal thing for Forza. So the standard one is 20 horsepower different. The sport upgrade is, or the sport upgrade, sorry, adds 20 horsepower. The race version adds 1. Why bother? Why is that? I don't know. I don't think I can get any of these on though, even with having just done that. Yeah, okay, right. Bugger it, valves. I'm not prattling around with you. You can go back to the standard ones of them. Do we go race engine block, 418 horsepower, or we might possibly want to have a look at gearbox. I'm probably going to put that in there. I don't know what the standard gearbox is going to be like. Looking from the, oopsie, wrong one. Looking from the benchmark, it doesn't look like it's going to be too much of a problem running it with a standard gearbox, to be honest. I think the gearbox potentially might get changed when you... I think stuff does get fiddled around with when you do engine swaps. And I mean, this is looking... Yeah, it's not a huge difference on there, and I think we can make up the time that it's it's a 0.1 of a second slower for the 4 PI points. I can get that 0.1 of a second elsewhere, and I think I probably will. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick though. Going to stick with pistons, and then we'll just go with chuck lightness at it. Yes, that is a technical term for what I am doing. I am chucking lightness at the car. Unfortunately, I think we'll stick that on, and then I'm really hoping clutch will be able to balance this out. Yes, it will. Okay. 404 horsepower in the Fiat. Wasn't quite expecting that much power. 263 torque in a car that is less than £2,000. If this is controllable, we could be seeing a very, very quick car. Of course, to test out the Fiat, I have brought it to the Hockenheim circuit, where it will get 3 runs through the Autocross course. Now, our current leader is the Lamborghini Miura with a time of 203.3. I am not sure that the Fiat is quite going to be up to challenging that. We could see this car maybe go in the top 10. In 10th place is the Mazda RX-8 at 205.7. If we can get the 205s, we're doing pretty well with the car in general. If we have the control to go with what I suspect is going to be some mighty impressive acceleration, we could see the Fiat go really rather quickly. It's going to be a little bit of a shock taking this. The last vehicle I drove around here was a racing truck, and now I have a little lightweight Fiat that is, what, a sixth of the weight of the of the truck. So yeah, let's see how this car fares. It is already, yeah, pretty nice and agile through these opening gates. The traction actually isn't too bad, which is good as well. Now we are going to have a little bit of a lift there. We've got a bit of understeer. The front end is not quite wanting to get turned in at that sort of speed. Now that was at the low 100 mile an hour mark that I kind of chucked it in to that section with, and we just clipped the barrel on the way out there. I thought we might see the back end being a little lively when pushed hard, and indeed we can do. So yeah, I mean, we've definitely got to watch out a bit with this car. Ooh, okay, that... I think I might have been a little bit wrong with I might have overestimated the speed of this potentially. I think the issue we're going to have, we do lack some grip, and that is a little bit of a problem. I'm so busy fighting the grip, I didn't even get a chance to look at just how fast we were going to be going down the, well, kind of back straight. So I guess we're going to have a look sort of down here. Oh, that was getting very, very close to the barrels. Oh, if we try and hold that flat, the back end's wanting to let go there. It's 115. I think we've seen almost 118, 119 is the fastest we've seen down that section. And again, 110 miles an hour before getting on the brakes for the hairpin. It's not awful. Do we want second? I don't know. I think we probably might be better off sticking that in third there. It's not awful. That much is for sure. I'm not thinking we quite have the grip to really carry the absolute quarter speed through some of these sections that we want, and there isn't enough acceleration to make up. It's very hard to make up for a lack of quarter speed in an autocross course with acceleration. 5 seconds of that was tyre penalties, a little bit of scruffy driving on that run. Well, it's a benchmark for the Fiat. So it is on to the second attempt for the 1-2-4. I think caution. I say caution. Being careful into some of these gates. I can't, like some of the cars we have had, I can't really throw this through the gates in the same way. I can't really attack them because we don't have the front end grip to turn in or the back end grip to really stay planted, even if I could get the front. The fact that the front end can't get turned in is probably a little bit of a saviour. I've just realised how quickly this is getting up towards this section. It accelerates very quickly down towards there, but we can't actually carry that speed. I have backed it off perhaps a little excessively this time, but we have got through cleanly. Yeah, if the front end did get turned in kind of how I wanted, I suspect our then issue would be that the back end would be wiggling all over the place, because on the when we are getting it turned in at these speeds, the back end is wiggling a little bit. So if we're getting it turned in at higher speeds, then the problem would be increased. It's 115 miles an hour down here, but that's not helped by the fact that I think by that time there I had a little bit of a lift through the very high speed bit. That is a big bit of sliding going on from the Fiat. We've kept it all together, sliding our way through that section. We've locked the brakes up ever so slightly as well. Oh no, I've run it in too deep, but we've got out the other side okay. And again, trying to get on that power. Is that this transition here, if I don't get it spot on, that's sort of the place where the back end's wanting to go around. A better run though down there this time, 117, although because of that, when I braked where I thought would be okay, it wasn't quite enough. Bugger it, we've ended up out wide and clonked a barrel. It's oh no, I did a stupid thing. I'm just trying to try to carry more speed through the hairpin than I really should have, and that put me far too wide on the exit. It's not that this is a hard car to drive. I've got to say, this is a relatively straightforward car to drive, even if it isn't a horrendously grippy one. Around this circuit, there we go, run towards the line with the Fiat. 10 seconds worth of time penalties in all of that. Yeah, it's need to do better. It's interesting, that's for sure. So it is on to the final run for the little Fiat. If we can keep it out of the barrels, I would be pretty happy. I'm thinking there is some time to be found elsewhere around the lap with a little bit of bravery from me and a bit of grip from the car. We can perhaps maybe 207s, high 206s is where we're looking with this vehicle. I might have been a little bit ambitious with that 205. God, please have grip. Please have enough grip to take the speed. It's 110 miles an hour on the exit there. That's up there with the Lamborghini Miura. Not as comfortable, mind you, at that sort of speed as the Miura was. I trust the Miura with my life. I'm not sure I can quite say the same about this crazy Fiat. It is he's very quick when you're getting it right, but it's quite terrifying trying to get it right. 118 miles an hour. I'm going to jump on the brakes, make sure that we can get it slowed down. I'm not sure I fully trust the brake. The brakes aren't too terrible on this car, but they aren't the best either. Now, it helps being light, but the small front tyres aren't helping, and that's also part of the problem with the underside. I didn't actually, when I was building, I didn't pay attention to their exact size, but if the back are 245s, the front are not going to be particularly big, and that is certainly not helping. I'm trying to put it in third there to stop the wheel spin, stop the car from going sideways as we jump on the brakes here. Second probably wasn't a good idea. Through there, as we come through the tunnel now, up towards the hairpin for the final time. Get the car turned in. second gear on the way out. I don't know. It's trying to decide at what point you want, or what gear you want to be at what point on the track. Turn around this final corner, then we start spinning the wheels up some more. I'm going to want to get on the power as soon as I can around here, on the brakes for this final section. It's not too bad at these lower speed change of direction. It's not awful through there. Now we run towards the line. Hey, 206.9 from the pit. Just what I said. Just what I said at the start of that run. 206.94 is yeah, a pretty solid time actually from the car. I quite like it. It's not particularly suited to autocross, but in a strange way it's not that hard to drive this car around here. The back end is on the lively side, although again I've driven a lot worse. Just some of the corners when you start pushing this car, the more you push this car, the more oversteery it gets. Pretty much, the more you try and throw it through the corners, the more likely the back end is to step out. Now, it does get away with that because we have a fair bit of understeer. Because the front end just simply doesn't get turned in to some of these gates with as much vigour as other vehicles. If this got turned in incredibly well and had this level of oversteer, it would be very tough to drive in many respects, because you get the front end sorted out and the back end will be doing all sorts of crazy things, but because we have a fair bit of understeer, it kind of works itself out to be drivable, basically. Yeah, I actually quite like it around here. It's time. The 206.9 will put it into 25th place. A pretty solid result, really, for this car. It will beat the Ferrari 355, beat the Camaro Z28, the Skyline R32, and the Plymouth Prowler. It is just down on the Magic Jeep. It also loses out to an Alfa Romeo 4C. Datsun 2000 is quicker than the Fiat. Yeah, an interesting autocross build. Not quite what I was expecting from the car. I overestimated its grip a little bit. If it did have bigger tyres, if it did have that bit more grip, it could well be a phenomenally fast car. We've got the acceleration. There's no doubt about that. The power to weight ratio is incredibly impressive, and the speeds that this was obtaining in the small straight sections were up there with some of the very fastest cars, you know, the 911 GT3. So yeah, it's pretty quick if you can hold on to it. It is liable to be a little bit silly from time to time, but there we go. I quite like the look of it as well, actually. The Fiat 124, I think it's a great looking car. So yeah, fast if it doesn't try and murder you, pretty much. That, though, is going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.